Okay, we're going to welcome Curtis Fentress, Principal in Charge of Design at Fentress Architects. Curtis, welcome.
Thank you.
So Curtis, you founded Fentress Architects in, I believe, 1980. It's 40 years or so. And your firm just won a major award, AIA Colorado's 25-year award for Denver International Airport. You guys, it's one of your specialties is airport design. It's certainly one of the more iconic airport terminals in the nation, bringing a sense of high design in airport terminal design, as well as can these terminals sort of serve as a gateway or a symbol for a city? It was some interesting thinking way back 25, 27 years ago when you started thinking about this terminal. I'd love to get your sense of, a few things that make you proud about this project and maybe some key lessons from Denver International Airport.
Well, I think the project is still looks as good as the day we originally opened it. It stood the test of time, so to speak, and we designed it originally to be very flexible. And I think that that's a key ingredient, a very important aspect in terms of designing buildings for airports, because we, over the last 25 years, have seen a great number of changes. We saw 9/11 and what changed with all the security lines at that time, and continual changes as different security measures were implemented, and then the huge lines that we've seen at airports all around the world because of those security measures that are being taken. And we've seen in that area very slow, but progress has been made with technology to speed up that process and get people through faster through TSA and the security checkpoints. The building was, again, designed to be sustainable in a sense of being flexible and easy to change, so that within just a few minutes they were able to move trees, because they were all in pots with rollers. We had, 15, 20-foot ficus trees all over the building, and they were moved so that the security could reconfigure very quickly. So it was very fortunate for Denver, whereas many airports had much more complex situations like LA, where they had very small mezzanines at the top of an escalator, and they had to have a monitor at the bottom, a monitor at the top to manage the line. Several monitors just to manage the security line, and then they have a series of multiple security lines all around the airport. So very expensive operation when you're doing that 24/7 kind of a thing. So, that was one of the main things. And then, of course, it's a daylit space. Brings in lots of daylight. We brought sunlight in through skylights in the roof, and that makes it feel very open and airy and fresh. And so people are very comfortable in that space. And so I think that's very important today. It kind of leans into what's going on today with COVID and in the world, and people feeling safe in airports.
What are you hearing and what are you seeing as a firm around airport capital spending, whether it be renovation, new construction? I mean, have municipalities and cities and governments largely just hit the pause button for now? I mean, I know LaGuardia still moving along, LAX, we get press releases about that project, continued project. What are you seeing as a firm?
Well, there were about 50 different projects that we were watching that were in the sort of what you might call the pipeline that were going to happen. And they all hit pause, except for 3 since January. And we did win one of those projects. So there's only 3 that we have seen that are, sort of significant, like let's add a concourse or let's add some gates. And I think that what those 3 are doing are responses to some of the changes that the airlines are making. I think that the airlines are going to make a lot of changes in the way that they're operating and the way, the fleet mix. One of the things that we're hearing is that the fleet mix is going to change from planes that carry over 150 people to flights that carry less than 150 people. And one of the reasons for that is the cost of pilots and the number of passengers and the way that they want to do the routing in the future. So we may see downsizing to smaller planes instead of the mid-sized planes. Mm-hmm. And so if it's a smaller plane, they don't have to have union pilots. And so that makes a tremendous difference in cost. Mm-hmm. And if they have smaller planes, they can make sure they're full. And so they can get back to an economical situation in terms of the flights. And that may change everything at the airport in terms of, parking planes and the efficient parking of planes. And, we may see a period where we need to readapt where the loading bridges are and how the hold rooms work in airports. So in the future, we may see some areas of the airport, particularly on the air side, getting a number of renovations and changes in the future. Mm-hmm. And so the international flights are long haul, and I think those will still be large aircraft. And one of the projects that we have that is continuing in terms of design work through this COVID period, and we'll go ahead and start construction, is an international project, an international terminal. So I think that most of the things that are going to move forward in construction at airports are related to the airlines and the needs of the airlines. And the airlines have to, along with the airports, convince passengers it's safe to fly. And, because that's a voluntary thing. If I decide I want to take a flight, nobody can force you to take a flight.
And then what are some, as you look to the three projects that are moving forward, the one which, how about let's just say it this way, the projects that your firm, your team is currently working on, what are some of the innovations besides maybe the COVID related stuff, just airport design that excite you?
Well, I think there's a number of things that are happening I'm not going to say I'm excited about them, but they've been in the pipeline for a while. Mm-hmm. But the COVID is causing them to get be more acceptable, let's say, than they were. And one of those is touchless ideas and not touching anything as you go through the airport. And so the ability to scan your boarding pass, to scan your phone, have your phone be your boarding pass is some people were doing it. Now almost everyone is doing it. Mm-hmm. And so the security person doesn't have to look at a piece of paper that you hand them now and take it back. The ticket agents, everyone is trying now at this point in time, training to not touch things. So you tag your own bag, set it up, and they see that it's fine. They scan it, and so they don't have to touch it. It goes on a belt and goes away. So those kind of mechanisms were in the making, and now they're much more acceptable to everyone. Mm-hmm. And when you go through a security checkpoint, the same thing. I have a clear pass, as many people do, to help me get through the airport faster because I travel a lot. And so, you used to put your fingers down, and some still do, but more people are having their eyes scanned, which, leads us more towards facial recognition, which has also been in testing for a couple of years, trying to work its way through the bureaucracy. And so the bureaucracy is speeding that up. And I think that very soon you're going to see facial recognition and then the retina scanning take on acceptability much more. Mm-hmm. So biometric scanning is for boarding. We're doing that in Orlando, where we have a project under construction. It'll be finished next year. So we're seeing a lot of those kinds of things that were on the cusp that are going forward. So that, in some ways, that's exciting, but they're technology driven. But they've been in the works for, a decade, and now they're getting to be much more acceptable because the directors of airports are saying, why can't we do this and why can't we do that suddenly? And so are the airlines. And so, it's a matrix. You have to get a lot of people to move forward together. The passenger, the airlines, the airport, we all want to take a step forward. And so we're all embracing technology so we don't have to touch anything.
Well, Curtis Fentress, I want to thank you for your time. Congrats once again on winning AIA Colorado's 25-year award for Denver International Airport's passenger terminal. Thanks for your insights on airport design. It was a great, enlightening conversation.
Thanks for having me.